Hi, everybody. Welcome to Doc's Daily, our new daily sports betting show where we're going to talk all the sports that we have going on. And today I got Nick and Griff with me. And as always, we'd like you to like and subscribe and to follow along on everything we do here at Doc Sports. And if you haven't done so, make sure you take advantage of that free 60 offer. So new customers get a free $60 account, docsports.com/free 60. You can get any of us here on the screens plays for today or any of our other great experts here at Doc Sports. All right, it's like the elephant in the room. We got to talk what happened this weekend in the NFL first, and then we'll cover kind of what we got going on for today. So, Nick, let's start with you. I mean, obviously, everybody's talking about the Bills and the Chiefs. Another absolute – I mean, it just seems like when these two play, it's going to be a last-second type affair. I know you were on the Bills like I were. How was your Monday morning going?
It was tough. It was tough, Craig. I was all over the Bills. I thought finally Josh Allen was going to overcome the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. Well, I was wrong. They decided to do a tush push on 4th and inches. They're up 22-21. They don't get it. Kansas City comes right back down, scores that touchdown, and the 2-point conversion goes up 7. It was just a tough one to swallow. Josh Allen didn't play like his Superman self, but Sean McDermott got out-coached, and it happens day in every single year when Kansas City goes and plays the Bills. Andy Reid always overcomes Sean McVay, and it was just bad coaching on the Buffalo Bills side. Tough one to swallow, but we're here on Monday, and Kansas City is in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, as going for a three-peat, obviously – if you're a Kansas City bettor this past weekend, you're like, you're probably thanking your lucky stars. Because to be very honest, I thought it was a toss-up, and it ended up being that. Griff, when you looked at the other game, we had the Eagles game. I mean, the Commanders kind of, caught lightning in the bottle towards the end of the year, and obviously against a banged-up Detroit team. But then, the Eagles look like the team of destiny here. And now we see the Eagles as a underdog for the Super Bowl. I was actually a little surprised the way they played. I thought they might be the favorite here, but they're a 1 to 1.5 point underdog, total 49.5. What do you think about these Eagles?
I mean, Craig, you said it yourself. I mean, going into this game right now, how could Kansas City not be the favorite rolling into this matchup? They're going for a three-peat right now. And the Eagles yesterday, I mean, they were by far dominant. I've got to say, though, that Washington Commanders offense, man, with Jaden Daniels, that guy is a threat every single play.
Yep.
In Philly, they won that game strictly because of their defensive front. They played outstanding, and their defensive secondary was absolutely incredible. But when you're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, it doesn't matter really how well your defense performs. When you have Patrick Mahomes leading the charge, they are deadly. I mean, you got Hollywood Brown, you got Hopkins, Kareem Hunt in the backfield. That offense is so explosive. So this game for me, I don't really want to lean too hard on a side right now. I mean, you have to go Chiefs if you go anybody. Otherwise, you're kind of just taking a liability aspect. It's a risk in my eyes. The total is more attracting to me. The total is currently sitting at 49.5. I think there's going to be some value in the totals playing this one, Craig. Picking a Super Bowl winner, though, obviously, we have to do it. And if I'm going to lean anywhere, you have to lean towards the Chiefs as they're going for a three-peat, Craig.
Yeah, I always feel like betting the Super Bowls, like everybody puts so much emphasis on it, and it kind of devalues what you did all season long as far as a bettor, making, so it's like you kind of overextend yourself because it's the one game and you got to bet it. I always feel like the value is always in the props because they don't have near the attention. Now, they still get more attention than the regular season, but they don't have near the attention that the side and the total is. And we'll be talking about that on Doc's Daily here next week when, of course, we start turning to the Super Bowl. But before we get to it, and if you guys have questions or comments, make sure you leave them in the comments section. We'll try to cover, as we got Victor here saying, let's go. So if you have questions on today's games or whatever, leave it in the comments section, and we'll try, depending on where we are, to get it in. So, but don't forget, like I said, make sure, if you haven't done so, you take advantage of that free 60, docsports.com, free 60. Now, let's turn to the NBA today. This is the big card for today. Of course, Mondays is slow on college basketball. Usually have the big Monday games, usually 2 or 3. And then the NHL has a nice little crowd, and we'll talk after the NBA. But, Griffin, let's start with you. We talked the NBA for today. It's a pretty good card. the one game that I kind of looked at as far as, I always say which is the best game of the day. And then, I guess it depends on the eyes of the beholder. But to me, I kind of think this Memphis, New York game, very surprising to me that the New York Knicks favored by 3.5 in this one. The Knicks are like one of those teams. I always say the Eastern Conference are one of those teams. I just think they're overvalued as a whole compared, because the Western Conference is so much tougher. What do you think of the Knicks today at this price?
Craig, I have a premium selection on this play today, but if you don't mind, I do want to jump into a game that actually really did catch my attention, and that was Houston at Boston. And I mean, I've got to say, Houston right now, Craig, they are throttling down. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games, and they just went back-to-back against Cleveland and swept them. And Cleveland, we know what they're capable of doing, whether they're at home or on the road. So this will be their second consecutive road game rolling into this matchup. Boston, on the other hand, this isn't the same Boston team that we're used to watching. No. Last year at home, especially. I mean, I want to say this team at one point was like 26-2 at home. Right now, they're currently sitting at 15-8. And right now, Houston, they're rolling into this game with full momentum. As I mentioned, they swept Cleveland. So they have that taste in their mouth of talent, that boast of mentality of strength of schedule. And I always look at strength of schedule spot plays. And this is one of those plays right now. After dealing with Cleveland twice, then you go in and play Boston. That's one of the other best teams in the NBA. After smoking Cleveland twice and now playing Boston, you feel unbeatable. So Houston, they're going to want to leave it all on the court in this matchup, because after this game, they have to go to Atlanta, and that's a winnable game, a must-win in my eyes, and then they've got Memphis. So with this one, Houston's flying high right now, Craig. I'm going to take the 6.5 with Houston over Boston in this matchup, Craig.
Yeah, one of the surprising things about the Celtics, and obviously anytime you're in the repeat, it's much tougher to get up the second year. I mean, especially since they pretty much ran back the same exact team. Sometimes we see, you add a piece or here. They just re-signed everybody. So it's a team that thinks, I still feel like they think inside we can just turn it on at any point. And that's a dangerous spot to be in. And maybe you can, maybe you can't come the playoffs. But the regular season, that's how you end up losing. I mean, they have lost some scratch your head games as of late. I mean, they lost at the Lakers, and it wasn't close, by 21. They lost to the Hawks by 4. They lost to Toronto by 13. I mean, last year's Celtics team would not have done that. So, Nick, what do you feel like in this game? You have any opinion on this one?
I actually have a premium on that one, Craig, but the game that I do want to talk about is this Detroit Pistons and Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs coming in this game right now, minus 10.5 favorites in this matchup. They are on a 3-game losing streak, and their offense has not looked sharp whatsoever. In their last 10 games, they're 5-5. They're laying double digits here to a Pistons team who in their last 10 games are 6-4. Granted, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 21-3 this season at home, but this Pistons team, to me, they got some young guys like Cunningham playing really good basketball here. I like the Detroit Pistons to cover in this double-digit spread here against the Cleveland Cavaliers because their offense has just been struggling. They're not scoring as many points. Granted, they are at home with 21 wins on the season, but I just think the Detroit Pistons tonight will cover this spread against the Cavs here.
Yeah, I like them. I even see some 11s out there, so make sure you shop that around. When you look at this Cavaliers team, it's one of those teams that I think everybody was kind of waiting for them to hit this lull. So maybe this is the lull that they had. And they did. They probably should have beat Houston in the first game. I mean, they got fouled on a three-pointer, down 2. If Garland misses 2 free throws, would have won the game.
Yeah, I mean, that game too.
Absolutely brutal way if you're a better. But then they follow it up with all that momentum, and they're, or not momentum, but all that, revenge factor at home, and they lose, and they had a loss in between as well. So I definitely think this is a Cleveland team that if you look at it, I think their record is maybe a little inflated than what they're really maybe where I have them in the power rankings is more like 7-8 in the power rankings. Like I said, I kind of always lend to the West being the power conference. And especially with the Celtics struggling, I actually in the East have the Bucks as the #1 power rated team. I just think they're playing much better right now. So I think that's an interesting game. I do like the Pistons. I kind of like a team total. I like the Kings over 116.5. I think it's creeping upwards because this team is scoring like in bunches, and it's a Nets team that absolutely I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't have any clue what they're trying to do. It's like they're trying to do maybe what Philly did years ago where, hey, we're going to just try to bottom out and keep getting draft picks, but they keep trading away their best defensive team, the best defenders to everybody else, and they get back guys like D'Angelo Russell that can't play any defense. I like the Kings over their team total of 116.5. I think that's a little sneaky play today. And I kind of like playing when I play totals, just the team total, because when you play an over in this game, you actually need the Brooklyn Nets to score some points.
Right.
And it's something that, in blowouts, we see that, you're not playing your backups and you don't get the over. So I like the Kings alone, team total. One of the teams that I think, like I mentioned earlier, this Milwaukee Bucks team, and we've heard rumors that they might be in the Jimmy Butler, maybe. We've heard some other players tied to them. I don't really think they need to add a whole lot. But, I mean, there's rumors out there they are an 8.5-point favorite tonight. Either two of you playing them against the Jazz, they did lay an egg a little bit at the Clippers last time. Either one of you like this Bucks minus 8.5 tonight?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Absolutely, Craig. I mean, the biggest thing for me when I look at this matchup is how Milwaukee's playing on the road. They're 8-11 on the road. The team's pace of play is critical in this matchup. But you've got to look at Utah. This team was a home court team all the first half of last season, and then they completely fell apart into a debacle. This team's currently 3-15 at home right now, and they're just not getting anything done. They're bad from the field. They're bad from the perimeter. Their offense and defensive ratings are terrible, and the biggest mistake is going to be their defensive rating. Right now, they're currently ranked 29th, Craig, and when it comes to this Milwaukee Bucks offense, they are currently 11th in pace of play. So if they get ahead of this Utah Jazz team, they're going to absolutely throttle them down right now. I mean, you got Giannis rolling, you got Lillard rolling, and this team, they bang not only from the field, but from the arc. And on top of that, once I mentioned again, their speed. They beat them in rebounds. I mean, Milwaukee's the play here across the boards, and I have no issue here laying the 8.5 points in this one, Craig.
One guy on the Jazz, I was surprised that first of all, they signed Markkanen, because this wasn't like they were one player away. He's a great player. I mean, it sounded like the Golden State.
They got to build.
Yeah, like they could have traded and got a lot of assets from Golden State, and that's what they need to do. I think the one guy, he's not going to get traded. Obviously, they put this kind of capital into him now, but Jordan Clark, he's out for this game. But I think that's the one guy from the Jazz that you look around the league, there's guys that can score and play in your second unit. He's a guy that can get it done. And Nick, I don't know what you think of this Jazz team, but Griffin mentioned it. They can absolutely score points. When you like it overs, if you're like me, I'm a big over guy. I like, if I'm going to play a total, I usually am on the over, especially in the NBA. And man, the Jazz are a great over team because they love to push it up and down. And every guy on the team just guns up the threes.
Yeah, I would be looking at the over here. It's sitting at 237.5 points. Like you said, they score a lot, and they don't play good at home, this Jazz team. They're 3-15. At some point, they got to turn their season around. I expect them to score a lot of points. They know who's coming in here with the Milwaukee Bucks, who are, like Griff said, 8-11. Not great on the road, but I expect a high-scoring game, especially Damian Lillard. I would look at his props on the over points, rebounds, and assists in this one. I believe it's at 34.5, if I'm not mistaken. That is definitely a play that I will be anticipating here tonight, but I would expect the over to go over 237.5 points in this one tonight.
One of my sneaky guys that I've made a lot of money on this year is actually on the Jazz, and that's Kessler. If you follow their center, I mean, he is a rebounding machine, and because they play so high pace and they shoot such crazy three-pointers, he gets a lot of putbacks. I always like his points and rebounds. I don't put the assist in with him, but just points and rebounds. He's usually in that 20-21 category. And I mean, he gets you about 12, 13 rebounds a game. So, and very often he gets double digits. So a hidden guy to keep an eye on, Kessler. Maybe not in this matchup because Giannis and Lopez, pretty big, but there's a lack of big guys in the NBA. So when you face teams like the Warriors and teams that don't have a lot of big guys, I like Kessler in those matchups. So, all right, last game we'll look at, and then we'll turn to the college basketball, even though it's not a big card for today. The Nuggets and the Bulls. This Nuggets team, I had thought early in the year, I was kind of selling on the Nuggets. I thought maybe their championship window has closed. And then, the Joker has just been, he's either the best or the second best player in the league. I think he's the best player because Luka's the best player in the league, but he doesn't play all the games. And I guess Giannis would be, you could throw those three guys in there. But to me, he just put this team on his back lately, and they're playing very good basketball, even though they did lose. I think it was last time out, kind of a sneaky spot. I think that was on Saturday. But they're big favorite here against a Bulls team that a bunch of sellers. I mean, this is a team that's going to be sellers at the trade deadline. We see Denver, though, 9.5 favorite in a total. I mean, 248. I mean, that is as high as you will see in the NBA. Nick, what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, that over right now, Craig, is a little too high for me. It's ridiculous. I would definitely smack the under in this play, but let's talk about the Bulls. They've been absolutely awful at home. They are 8-16 at home. They are on a 2-game losing streak here. Don't get me started. Griffin and I went to a Bulls game. I took the Bulls against the Charlotte Hornets, and they got blown out in the fourth quarter, LaMelo Ball. But besides the point here, this Bulls team is absolutely atrocious. I will say Nikola Vucevic, the center, that's their key guy. Zach LaVine has been awful this season. I don't care. He could score 41 game, but he'll score 2 points the next game. I cannot stand Zach LaVine, and he better get traded at this trade deadline. So I'm all over these Denver Nuggets here. I am a Chicago Bulls fan, diehard here. So I'm a little upset with them. I would take the under in this matchup. Don't get me started with the Chicago Bulls because, man, do I have some stuff I need to say. But I would take the under in this matchup. That's how I would roll here tonight, Craig.
I mean, it's crazy because you look at the individual talent. Like, I think Cody White's a very nice player.
He's good.
LaVine can put up 30 at times. Vucevic is like a guy that he's a double-double machine. It's like you look at the individual talent. You're like, how is this team
Great.
this? I mean, and they're not. It's not. If you lose to the Nuggets tonight, it is no like. There's no shame in that. The Nuggets are a very good team, but when they're losing to the Hornets at home, and it's not even close. Griffin, what do you think in this matchup? I mean, as soon as I see 240s, I think under, but this is one that you would have to sweat to the end, I bet.
Absolutely, Craig. Actually, Nick, everything that Nick had to say, I completely agree with. I mean, and especially with LaVine. And I apologize for laughing at you, Craig. We went to the game the other night.
I know. I saw this.
Nick had a 7-unit on the Bulls, losing outright. I mean, it was just absolutely atrocious, man. But watching this Bulls team in person and really seeing how this team plays and comes together, they don't. They do not play well together. They're 8-16 at home right now. And Denver, on the other hand, they play very good on the road. And like you said, Craig, Joker, I mean, he's having an incredible season, averaging almost 30 points per game. The pace of play, both of these teams like to fly up and down the court. So that brings me automatically to defense. Who plays better defense? Well, neither of these two teams are really standout on the defensive side. It's all offense. And when you look at this right now, who is going to stop Joker on the Chicago Bulls team? I don't see anybody doing it. So this is going to be a huge in the paint type of scenario for me. And I think Denver just blows them out off of rebounds, offense or second point attempts, and off the fast break. I think Denver's the play here, and I have no issue laying that 9.5 points as they're coming into this game 8-2 off a loss. This is a bounce back game, retaliation, especially against a crap team like the Chicago Bulls. So, Craig, I have no issue in this matchup laying the 9.5 points with the Denver Nuggets here.
I will say too. Sorry, Craig, didn't mean to cut you off here, but I will say too, another prop is Vucevic on those rebounds and assists for tonight's game. I believe it's sitting at 13.5. He's going to be all over the court tonight. Go ahead and smack that for all our listeners there.
Yeah, I always like Joker over rebounds. A lot of people want to put the points of rebounds. He's one of those guys that's so unselfish, and you almost have to double team him. I mean, no one in the league can guard him one-on-one. And, the one Denver problem, they do not shoot the ball well from the three-point line. And this league is now a three-point shooting, like to win it all. I think they're going to need to add a three-point shooter. It's not like they need to go add a big piece, but just a nice spot-up shooter, maybe even in that second unit that can get. So that way you have guys, because right now it's Porter and Murray. That's pretty much it as far as three-point shooting. I mean, nobody else on the team really is a good. Gordon is an average three-point shooter. You would want to leave him open. Braun is one of those guys that a great, slasher, but not a great three-point shooter. So to me, I think that's what they need. If you like Joker over the rebounds, I think it's a nice little prop tonight as well. Now, don't forget, get that free $60 DocSports.com/free60. We all have top plays tonight. I've got a top 6-unit play in the NBA tonight, going in one of the late games. Nick, do you have a top play in the NBA tonight?
No, I got a 2-pack actually. Lower volume here tonight. We absolutely killed it over the weekend, especially in college basketball. So we got a lower volume card, 2-pack, and also a player prop in the NBA starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And Griff, you have NBA tonight?
I have one NBA selection tonight. It's just a 2-unit play because I've already got circled up a 7-unit for tomorrow that I'm ready to unload the tank on. So today I'm playing small, collecting profits because we've been on a jam house breakout. I'm currently 21-8 in my last 29 cards, up over $7,000. Plays graded 7.0 plus. I'm up over $8,400 on the season. So today we're keeping it cool, collective. It's Monday. Let's start off nice and easy, solidify a win. And then tomorrow we got a huge play that we're going to absolutely unload the tank on, Craig.
So go over there, DocSports.com/free60 for all new customers. Of course, if you're an existing customer, go over to the grid, check out who's got the big plays today, and get in on them. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Our new show here. Make sure you don't miss out on all the great videos we do here daily. Now, let's turn to college hoops. And Mondays is what they used to call Big Monday. And it used to really just be, I think it was the Big 12 and the ACC used to have to. Now, of course, with the consolidation and the bigger conferences, we do have a little more plays, but not the biggest card ever. Griffin, why don't you kick us off? What do you like here as a free play for Monday night?
Yeah, sure, Craig. I like Iowa at Ohio State. You know, Iowa, they're just struggling on the road right now, man. Winless on the season, 0-4. And Ohio State comes in 7-4 at home, coming off a road win last on Tuesday against Purdue. So that brings massive momentum. After beating Purdue, any team's mentality is going to come in saying we're unbeatable. Iowa, they thrive on speed. They thrive on tempo and pace of play. They like to run up and down the court incredibly fast. Ohio State, they just got put through the absolute meat grinder, Craig. They dealt with Oregon, Washington, Indiana, and Purdue in their last 4 games. Iowa, they just finished up a 2-game homestand. Now heading on the road, dealing with the team who feels as if they can't be beaten. I think Ohio State rolls them here, and this is a perfect spot play for me as well. I'm laying the 7.5 here, boys, with Ohio State Buckeyes. That's my play on this one. That was my favorite one that jumped off. That's not on my premium selections, Craig.
You know, one of the interesting things about Iowa, you know, McCaffrey, his son, transfers to Butler. And then his next son is he's already signed, he's going to be a freshman next year, is signed at Butler. And I'm kind of like, is there something up with, like, is McCaffrey, like, is he kind of maybe going to retire or something? What is going on there? And his son also, his other son that's dating Caitlin Clark, is a coach at Butler. So I don't know. It just seems like Iowa kind of in a crossroads as far as the program is concerned. And they barely won last time out. And I think you're right on the, as much as I hate Ohio State, just so everybody knows out there. So take it with a grain of salt. If I like Ohio State, that's usually a good thing. And I think Ohio State takes care of business. Nick, you have anything free play here for us in college basketball small card tonight?
Yeah, let's talk about this Michigan minus 8.5 over Penn State here. Both teams coming into this game off losses in their most recent game. Michigan obviously coming off a blowout loss on the road to Purdue. They lost that game 91-64. While Penn State, they're coming off the loss to Iowa on the road 76-75. But here's the kicker. Michigan this season at home 9-0. They have to face this Penn State team who struggles on the road. They're only 1-4 this season on the road. I simply think this is a bounce back statement game here for Michigan over Penn State at Michigan minus 8.5. That's the play.
Yeah, interesting Michigan team. Coach May, comes over. What he did at FAU was, nothing, short of genius. Getting him, back-to-back seasons for our runs in the NCAA tournament, including that Final Four. Was it 2 years ago now? Coach Howard. He had the big talent, but he didn't quite develop them. Let's remember he lost Hunter Dickinson to Kansas. It's just like he just couldn't. He put guys in the pros, his son included. It's just like they did not play well. It's the opposite now. They don't quite have the horses that maybe, but they're putting it up, other than that was a pretty disappointing loss last time out. But other than that, Michigan's kind of been a nice little surprise. That win earlier in the year at UCLA where Mick Cronin went absolutely ballistic afterwards, calling out his team. That was a very good road win. I think they won the 2 days before that, they beat USC at USC. So, I mean, now that the Big Ten is a, across the country league, I mean, it's a much different task. And Michigan has been up to the task, and they're a team that's, looking at, I'd say they're on the right side of the NCAA tournament bubble right now. They have to win this game. I think you're right on the call on this one. Now, the only other major game left that we didn't really talk about, I believe, is a late game. This NC State Duke game. Yeah. I mean, Duke is absolutely out of 21 points. I know Duke and Cooper Flag are playing out of their mind right now, but I mean, this is like a football spread. I mean, it's crazy. And they're 12-7 on the year. Duke is against the spread. And here's their last spreads. They lost. They didn't cover the spread against Wake last time out at 11.5. The game before that, it was 23 at BC. They covered 23.5 home against Miami, covered 19.5 points. They did not cover it, but they did win by 18 points against Notre Dame, and then 14 points against Pitt that they did cover. I mean, these spreads are getting out of hand. How big is too big, Nick?
I would say it's a little too big here, Craig. Duke has been solid. They've been undefeated at home. They're 11-0 in their last 10 games. They're 10-0, but this spread, 21 points against an ACC team like North Carolina State. Granted, they're 0-4 on the road, 3-7 in their last 10 games on a 4-game losing streak. But at some point, you got to D up, and I think they will D up. It is in Cameron. I understand where the odds makers are going with this one, but I just think it's a backdoor kind of cover situation with North Carolina State. I don't see Duke blowing them out here tonight, especially after that game against Wake Forest. I had Wake Forest on the spread, and Wake Forest covered that in Cameron as well. So I would lean more towards this North Carolina State to cover here, plus 21.5 points over Duke.
I was kind of thinking the under maybe in this game. I mean, they played Kansas. They did lose by 15 at Kansas, 75-60. I think they know they cannot score with Duke. I mean, I don't know if there's a whole lot of people that have the talent that Duke does this year. I mean, they're deserving top 3 in our power ranking, in my latest power rankings. I think they have to slow this game down. If this gets going up and down, Cooper Flag is an absolute nightmare. He can beat you inside, outside. He can draw the double teams, kick it, and I think Duke's going to win easy. I think I would probably take the points, and close your eyes late. This is like a hold your nose type of game, but I think maybe under in this last game. So those are kind of the major games we had for today in college basketball. Don't forget, like and subscribe our video and get in on that free $60, DocSports.com/free60 if you're a new customer. If you're not, go over to the grid and get in on one of our top plays. Either one of you guys have top plays in college hoops tonight. I know tonight I had a very small play only.
No top plays for me today, Craig. Just 3 premium selections, nothing over 4 units. I have a 3-play card, though, on deck. Nick?
We're passing today in college basketball, but absolutely steamrolling, though, in college basketball. Friday, we hit our 7-unit best bet with Milwaukee over Northern Kentucky. That was a 20-point blowout there. And then on Saturday, we had Houston over Kansas, double overtime. We won that game. And then last night, unfortunately, had Army. They shot 31% from the field, 19 for 61. From the 3-point, the perimeter, 23. They were 7 for 30, just not good. You're not going to win ball games shooting 31% from the field goal. But we're passing day. We'll be back on Tuesday with college basketball.
Okay. Now, I know Griffin and I are not huge NHL guys. I'm like one of those. I usually have 2 or 3 top plays in the NHL a week. Last week, I had a 7-unit winner, 7-unit winner, 6-unit winner. That is the most rare thing for me. I'm like a 1 usually top play a week, and then maybe 1 other small play. So I actually passed tonight as far as the expert card. Nick, I know you're of the 3 of us, you're the much bigger hockey fan and hockey better. Give us a little gem here to bail us all out.
I got you. So let's look at the Los Angeles Kings and the Detroit Red Wings. Kings are 3rd in the Pacific, while the Red Wings are coming in 7th right now in the Atlantic. The Kings in their last 5 games, 2-2-1. Same with the Red Wings, 2-2-1 in their last 5 games. But this Kings ball club is a 500 team on the road. They are 11-5, something to take into consideration while observing this game. While the Red Wings, they're 14-11-2 this season. The Kings beat the Red Wings earlier on this season, 4-1 at home. This is a revenge spot for the Red Wings here in this matchup. I think all the value is on the Detroit Red Wings at odds of plus 145 to win outright at home, a much better team on a 2-game winning streak. This Los Angeles Kings 500 ball club coming into Detroit. I think the edge goes to the Detroit Red Wings here. Darcy Kemper will get the start for the Los Angeles Kings, who's been absolutely solid this season. I just think the defense is slowing down on the Los Angeles Kings, and we'll see some goals scored here for the Detroit Red Wings in tonight. So take the Red Wings plus 145 on the money line over the Los Angeles Kings in this one, Craig.
All right, Nick, talk me off of this one, because I really wanted to pull to pull one out as an underdog today. I kind of like Philadelphia plus 120. I mean, I stared at this game, I studied it, and I was like, it just feels like this is the time they get the underdog win. They've been pretty decent lately. I think it's a team that is undervalued as far as what their odds are. Am I missing something?
You're not missing anything, Craig, even though the New Jersey Devils, they're a solid team.
Yeah.
They haven't been playing that good as of lately, but they come in 11th right now in goals per game. They're sitting just over 3 goals per game, while the Philadelphia Flyers are averaging just under 3 goals per game, sitting at 2.4 or 9.4, I should say. Their value is on the Flyers. It's a good enough game. I just think this game might go into OT, maybe a shootout winner for Philly, but I wouldn't be surprised if in regulation the New Jersey Devils win this game outright here tonight.
All right, so what I'm hearing is parlay.
Parlay.
This would be a heck of one. Philly and Detroit. I mean, you're getting them both into that plus 125 to plus 140 range, depending on where you get it. It'd be a nice little juicy parlay. And I think I always think Mondays are upset days for NHL because, when you're traveling and you had to play, all of them almost always played on the weekend, and then you travel, and we got 2 underdogs at home. I hear that. Anything you like, Griffin, here in the NHL that catches your eye?
Yeah, actually, this one was a really easy one for me, Craig, and I can't believe I didn't pull the plug on this one as a premium selection. Once I got down funneling it out, I looked at this game, and I'm like, dude, this only came out to minus 120. It's Seattle at Edmonton. Edmonton is an offensive powerhouse, and especially at home. They're 6th in the NHL when it comes to offensive goals per game, and they're 2nd when it comes to shots on goal offensively. Seattle just wrapped up a 4-game homestand, so now they have to bounce on the road to play a team who's 17-8-1. Seattle, they're allowing over 3 goals a game defensively. They rank 21st on the defensive side, and they're 22nd on the penalty kill. Edmonton, they thrive on the power play. They're ranking 7th in the NHL. Edmonton should absolutely pound this team, and it's also a perfect spot play as Seattle is now playing 1 game on the road. Then they have to head back home after that. Give me the Edmonton Oilers here on the puck line at a minus 120 line, Craig. I think this should be an easy smackdown for the Oilers in tonight's matchup.
I always like Seattle at home and Utah at home. I always think they're always, but on the road, both of those teams are like, I just stay away. I don't know what it is. It's just like that home ice. That friendly ice is so good to them, but they get on the road, they get pounced. So I like that puck line as well. All right, so there you have it. There's our NHL plays. Obviously, like I said, it's a little smaller card in the NHL today and in the college basketball. But don't forget, like and subscribe. And make sure you don't miss out on everything we do here daily. We're going to be every day, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. And you can get that free 60 if you're a new customer, DocSports.com/free 60. Griffin and Nick have a little smaller card today. I do have one. I have a small card, just 3 plays, but 1 6-unit play in the NBA. We are nice little run, 11-3, I believe. 11-3, I believe, the last couple weeks. So make sure you get in on that. So DocSports.com/free 60 if you're new. All right. So if let's just make sure. So we have another comment here. Thanks, guys. Yes, no problem. Make sure you follow us every day. We'll be about 1 to 1:30. Some days like today, you'll run a little longer. Maybe tomorrow it's a big card. Thursday's a big card. So maybe on those days we go a little longer. So, all right, guys. Thanks for joining in, Nick and Griffin. Tomorrow, I think it'll be 2 of us plus August tomorrow. So we're still figuring out the lineup. We're going to have a couple other Doc Sports guys that will be joining us, and we'll be rotating in. So like 3-4 days a week each of us, but we'll be going Monday through Friday. All right, guys, thank you. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, guys.